The Gran Coupe, a sports car with 4 doors and space for 4, but sports car-like performance. Now this one here, the 840i, is the exact spec we're going to get in India. 340 horsepower, 500 Nm torque, and it's not too much that this car requires X-drive or 4-wheel drive, which of course makes the whole driving experience heavier and more leaden. We have the car with us for the day. Let's see how good it is to drive, and importantly, how nice it is to sit in the back. But first up, just what do we have here? With its low-slung sports car-like nose, fast-flowing roof and strong shoulders, the 8 Series Gran Coupe is a luxury Grand Tourer or 4-door GT. The long flat bonnet and tight-fitting roof lend a lot of elegance. China isn't listed as the #1 market for the 8 Series range, so it doesn't come with a grille that's supersized. Rather, the grille is wide, the headlights aren't fused together with it, and what I particularly like is those hexagonal LED accents in the headlights. They just hit the spot. The rear is probably the most attractive bit of this car. The integrated ducktail spoiler reminds you of a Porsche 911 from the early 70s, and what makes the rear look even more attractive is that the 840i sits on a wide base, which of course helps give it that bottom heavy look. But what's it like to drive? Well, the product brief clearly states that the new 8 Series Gran Coupe should drive like a 2-door sports car, and that's no easy task for something that weighs 1.8 tons. There is, however, plenty of performance under the hood. Now with 340 horsepower, this car shouldn't really feel this quick. But when you put your foot down, that 500 Nm of torque comes in, and it just feels quick enough to be really fun. Now right now I have it in comfort, and if I select sport, the reaction from the box is even faster. And there's a nice snarl from under the bonnet. Typical BMW 6-cylinder straight 6 snarl, and the kind of pace and driving pleasure it delivers is just fantastic. And what I also like about this engine is that despite it being turbocharged, it pulls all the way till 7,000 RPM. At 7, and again, super. That just never gets old. With such a long wheelbase, BMW's integral active steering or rear wheel steering helps virtually shortening the wheelbase, and this makes it feel a lot more agile. What this 840i also does beautifully is sit comfortably at a high speed and give you tremendous confidence to carry speed through corners. It's got a beautiful balance to it. It's got a nice long chassis, wide track, and every time you turn in, that rear wheel steering really does help you point the car into corners, especially some of the faster ones. And flick it into a tighter corner and the car follows your instruction without hesitation. Unlike the heavy-footed 4-wheel drive cars, there's a litheness and an agility to the way 840i handles. And what helps is that the steering is nice and direct and full of feel. Now at high speed, there is a bit of vertical movement if the road is less than perfect, and that's because of the short springs, and you do have to step back a bit, take it a bit easy when you see those bad patches. Still, ride at everyday speeds is pretty impressive, especially considering the wheels this car is on. It doesn't feel like an everyday sedan from the inside for sure. The shallow windows give it a cockpit-like feel, and what accentuates this is that the wide center console runs the length of the cabin. The 4 individual sport seats and headrests looking pretty different too. Now, the first thing you realize when you sit here is that this is a really low and sporty driving position. And that's just great. You feel like driving this car long distance and fast, like you should any GT. And the seat is perfect for the job. You can adjust it as you want. You have super support for your shoulders, important when you're driving long distance, and tremendous lower back support that you can adjust. Of course, the highest quality on the inside here, loads and loads of this double stitched leather, even on top of the door pad, and Bowers & Wilkins' finest audio system with plenty of metallic highlights. So it just feels very plush and comfortable and suitable as a sport luxury GT. There are many carried over bits, but some actually work well here. Interesting mesh metallic design here, and of course BMW likes to give you a bit more bling, so there's this crystal insert on the top of the iDrive controller, on the gear lever and on the start stop button. It's pretty cool. The rear isn't as comfortable as something like a 5 Series, that's for sure. So an extremely sporty sort of seat. It is a bit upright in the back, and of course headroom is just about sufficient for someone who's my height. So 6-footers and people taller than that are likely to have a bit of an issue. But reasonable comfort, decent amount of legroom even with my driving position. And yes, it does feel very unique and different. You do feel you're sitting in something special, something very sporty. And the center console that comes all the way back here has a lot of interesting stuff and looks pretty cool. This wire mesh sort of finish on top, the metallic finish. And you have your own aircon controls here, 2 USB-Cs. And this elbow rest is also adding a lot to the comfort levels. But again, it's a bit tight. And with this big headrest and the big seat, you do feel a bit hemmed in. If you are in the market for a 4-door coupe, the 840i makes a great case for itself. It drives like a thoroughbred rear-wheel drive coupe. It has an energetic and willing motor, and sitting in the cabin feels special. The center consoles, both at the front and the rear, are a bit too wide. Seat comfort in the rear is not great, and for India we strongly recommend smaller 19 or even 18-inch wheels. Expected to make landfall here by mid-2020, the 840i will be expensive at an expected price of Rs 1.4 crores. Still, if you're looking for a 4-door coupe that both looks good and drives superbly, the 840i is right up there with the best.